그래서 지금은 그냥 가능성에 대한 질문을 하는 시기는 지나지 않았나. 네, 이미 많은 사랑을 많은 작가분들이 받고 계시고 또 읽히고 있고, 네, 그래서.
It's May 22nd here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with campaigning for the upcoming June presidential election. The three main runners are speeding up their campaigns with just 12 days left until the big day. The Democratic Party's Lee Jae-myung is making his way down to Jeju Island on Thursday, while the People Power Party's Kim Keon-Hee targets voters in southern Gyeonggi-do province, and the Reform Party's Jun-seok appeals to voters in Incheon. The Pentagon has formally accepted a jet intended for the Air Force One fleet from Qatar, despite accusations of bribery over such a gift. For the first time in his 15-year European club career, Tottenham Hotspur South Korean captain Heung-min has lifted his first trophy after Tottenham beat Manchester United in the final of the UEFA Europa League on Wednesday. Democratic Party candidate Lee Jae-myung is now expanding his campaign trail down to the country's resort island of Jeju on Thursday, after spending a solid day in Incheon City, where his constituency is located. Our correspondent Shin Ha-young has more.
Democratic Party presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung has continued his campaign in the Greater Seoul metropolitan area for the third consecutive day, this time in the city of Incheon.
The sea takes in both murky and clean water. Isn't that the spirit of unity in Incheon? Winning in Incheon is what makes it a true victory. Will you help make that happen?
Incheon holds special significance for Lee Jae-myung as it was a stepping stone in his political comeback after narrowly losing to former President Yoon Suk-yeol in the 2022 presidential election. During his Wednesday rallies, he visited Gyeonggi district, the constituency he represents in the National Assembly. Following the previous presidential election, Lee won a by-election in Gyeonggi and was re-elected in last year's general election. Lee thanked the people of Gyeonggi for supporting his comeback. He aimed to win votes by sharing his economic vision for Incheon, a global gateway city with an airport and port focusing on logistics and the bio industry. Ahead of Wednesday's rally, he also laid out pet-friendly policy pledges. In a social media post, he promised to enact a so-called Basic Animal Welfare Act and work to create a government agency dedicated to promoting animal welfare. He also pledged to reduce pet care costs, especially for veterinary services, by setting standard fees and promoting the expansion of pet insurance. He also addressed the issue of stray cats.
Since more than 25% of people have pets, we need appropriate policies for them. On issues like stray cats, where opinions differ, we should find ways to coexist without causing problems for others.
Additionally, it pledged to prevent animal abuse and abandonment by introducing a policy that bans offenders from owning animals for a set period. 신하영, Arirang News.
Now, the People Power Party candidate Kim Keon continues to stick around the metropolitan area to solidify his support in the capital region. And his ambitions to merge with his fellow conservative rival, Reform Party's Jun-seok, remain strong. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
Continuing his efforts to boost support in the capital region, People Power Party candidate Kim Keon on Wednesday chose northern Gyeonggi-do province, appealing to locals that he's a two-term Gyeonggi-do province governor. As he's the one who started the GTX, an express railway system connecting the outskirts of Seoul to its center, he pledged there will be more of these for all.
I promise you, I'll make sure anyone can travel anywhere within an hour. I'll deliver a transportation revolution.
Kim started his rally from the northwest and moved clockwise to hit 6 cities in one day. Areas Kim rallied also near and border North Korea, and much of the land here remains undeveloped due to long-standing security and environmental restrictions. Kim says if elected, he'll lift those limits to attract companies and institutions to create more jobs and opportunities in the region. Meanwhile, his efforts towards a merger with a fellow conservative rival, the Reform Party's Jun-seok, continued, as he called the move a game-changer in the current losing landscape.
As for a dramatic turnaround, there's candidate Lee Jun-seok, who once served as our party leader and is now running independently. I believe that in the end, he and I will merge our campaigns and that he could play a key role in leading us to victory in this presidential race. I'm hopeful things will work out.
But Lee Jun-seok is still publicly rejecting the idea. Still, the outreach continues. PPP lawmaker An Chol-soo visited Lee on the campaign trail in an apparent attempt to open dialogue. Momentum is building, though. Former PPP chairman and the primary runner-up Han Dong-un began campaigning for Kim on Tuesday, though they haven't appeared together yet. Han made clear that he wouldn't hit the trail unless the party distanced itself from impeached ex-president Yoon Suk-yeol. Now that Yoon has left the party, Han appears to be on board. And to add to the distancing, PPP interim leader Kim Keon Hee publicly apologized for controversy surrounding former First Lady Kim Keon Hee. After his debate proposal for First Lady prospects was rejected, he urged the DP to suggest their own format, saying vetting should still happen. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Reform Party candidate Lee Jun-seok will also stay in the capital area on Thursday as he continues to reach out to young voters and centrists. He's scheduled to hold a discussion with Choi Won-il, former captain of the Cheonan warship, which was torpedoed by North Korea in 2010. He will also continue meeting with students, this time at Inha University. Yesterday, People Power Party lawmaker An Chol-soo met with Lee to persuade him to unify his candidacy with the PPP's Kim Keon-soo. Now, Lee once again rejected the idea, saying he's focused on a winning strategy. His spokesperson said Wednesday as well that certain figures from the PPP proposed a merger in exchange for Lee Jun-seok's party leadership. The Trump administration has formally accepted a jet from Qatar for use as Air Force One, a gift that the White House calls legitimate, while controversies over the gift are nowhere near being tamed. Our Shin Sa-byuk has the details.
The U.S. has accepted a luxury Boeing 747 jet gift from Qatar for use as Air Force One. President Donald Trump received a $400 million luxury jet during a recent visit to Qatar and announced plans to use it for future presidential travel. This, however, has sparked controversy in Washington, with critics raising concerns over potential impropriety and foreign influence. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell said in a statement Wednesday that the plane was accepted in accordance with all federal rules and regulations. He added that the Defense Department is working to ensure the aircraft meets the necessary security standards and mission requirements for presidential transport. The U.S. Air Force is expected to begin modifications to the jet so it can be used as an official presidential aircraft. While there are questions surrounding the luxury jet and the ethics of accepting such an expensive gift from a foreign government, Trump has maintained there's nothing improper.
It's not a gift to me, it's a gift to the Department of Defense.
Qatar has also downplayed the backlash, calling it a routine government-to-government transaction.
I see that this story is taking a different direction and is being more politicized while it's a normal government-to-government deal.
However, CNN reported earlier this week, citing an anonymous source, that it was the Trump administration, not Qatar, that first initiated the deal. Facing an urgent need for a new Air Force One, the administration reportedly approached Qatar to inquire about acquiring a Boeing 747, and Qatar agreed. During his first term, President Trump had placed an order for a new presidential jet from Boeing, but with the delivery still delayed, he has repeatedly voiced frustration over the wait. Meanwhile, the security upgrades are expected to cost over $1 billion, with Boeing aiming to complete delivery of the newly configured presidential jet by 2027. 신세벽, Arirang News.
Dozens of trucks of humanitarian aid for Gaza are still sitting at the border, waiting to be distributed to Palestinians in need, while Israel ramps up its offensives, now claiming to have killed Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar. Lee Seung-jae has more.
Work is in full swing to transport relief supplies to Gaza, but aid has still not been distributed to those in need. Around 100 relief trucks have passed through the Palestinian side of the Kerem Shalom checkpoint, with the first of the trucks to arrive there for a third day. The delay comes amid concerns of looting, as authorities look to secure a safe route for the trucks.
So far, and this is as a few minutes ago, but the situation obviously is fluid. None of the supplies have been able to leave the Kerem Shalom loading area. This is because by yesterday evening, Israeli authorities had only allowed our teams to go through one area where that was highly congested, that we felt was insecure, and where we felt looting was highly likely to take place given the prolonged deprivation of in Gaza since the blockade by the Israeli authorities for over 11 weeks.
UN officials are consulting with Israeli authorities to determine if another route can be used to deliver the aid. According to UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric, humanitarian items include baby food, flour, medicine, and nutrition supplies. However, he said that Israel has not allowed hygiene products or fuel into Gaza. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has continued its ground operations in Gaza. According to Al Jazeera, around 80 people were killed in airstrikes in various locations in Gaza on Wednesday. In a press conference on the same day, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israeli military had apparently killed Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar. He is the younger brother of Hamas former top leader Yahya Sinwar, who was killed in October last year. Netanyahu said that there are currently 20 Israeli hostages alive in Gaza and promised to bring them all back. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Russia-Ukraine peace talks are dragging on, even with U.S. President Donald Trump's long desire to broker a deal between them. Is Trump giving up on them now that things are lagging? Let's turn to Professor Christoph Gauden. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So Trump did have a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin earlier this week, only to see little sign of a breakthrough on peace talks. What was it that Trump said or did that failed to, convince Putin here?
I don't think that Trump and Putin are on the same time scale here. Trump's vision is very short term. Trump's Trump wants to secure a deal as fast as possible because he said he would. You remember that during his campaign, he said that he would be able to end this war within 24 hours or so, while on the opposite, Putin's vision, basically Putin's term is to end only when he dies. Putin is more concerned with the legacy he will leave in Russian history. Putin wants to restore somehow the USSR. Putin wants to extend Russia, and he has plenty of time. So Putin is not afraid of, is not concerned with sacrificing human lives. He's not afraid of making the war last as long as necessary. So, in fact, to answer your question, I don't think anything Trump can say can have any influence on Putin. In a few years, Trump will be gone. He won't be president anymore. While Putin is here until he dies, and his obsession is to restore Russia's lost grandeur.
So there's no reason for Putin to rush through the whole peace process when he knows Trump will be gone within a couple of years. Now, Trump is threatening Russia with sanctions, and now that things are not working out for Trump, is that just a warning or a threat that can actually be realized? What do you think?
You know the saying, barking dogs seldom bite. So in the case of Trump, what we see is that he's very vocal about restoring America's greatness. But what we see in real life is that when it comes to his tariffs, he was forced to back down, pressed by China. When it comes to what is happening in Israel and Palestine, he's unable to pressure Israel, that is a very close ally of the US, to stop these dreadful bombings on Gaza. So if Trump is unable to pressure China, if Trump is unable to pressure Israel, I think, unfortunately, Putin is not an easy man to scare, as you imagine. And I don't think any threats Trump can come with are to scare Putin. I don't think, unfortunately, this is a reasonable assumption to make.
Well, some analysts say they are sensing a possible shift in Trump's stance, that he was leaving both Russia and Ukraine to find a deal without the U.S. as a broker. Professor Garon, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the analysis.
In fact, then this, on the opposite, is a very reasonable assumption, because in reality, what is it that the U.S. wanted in Ukraine? The U.S., in particular, under Trump's presidency, was focused on getting Ukraine's resources, namely minerals and rare earth elements. And the US got that. It got secured with this deal Ukraine and the US signed on minerals recently. So now Trump has been able to get everything he wanted to get, and the only thing he's after now is personal glory. He would like this war to end, so he could say that he personally ended this war. But in terms of financial, in terms of material benefits, the US has already received everything they could. So I think that now the US doesn't have anything much to win from this war anymore, so they can back down. Right now, it's mainly between Ukraine and Russia. So to answer your question more directly, the answer is yes. Definitely, this is what is happening. The US is withdrawing.
Well, would you then say Ukraine is the ultimate victim here? I mean, one, it signed the minerals deal with the U.S. to begin with, and it's still waiting patiently for Moscow to come to the negotiating table, I have to say.
Well, again, the answer is very straightforward. Here, the answer is yes. What is happening is that basically, if I am a bit blunt here, Russia and the US are sharing the remains of Ukraine. Basically, the US is taking Ukrainian minerals, these rare earth elements the American tech industry needs, while Russia is trying to take away as many territories as they can. So now, from the Ukrainian point of view, what makes it difficult for President Zelensky to sign any kind of peace treaty is that Putin is very unlikely to give up, at least on the territories Russia has conquered. That is basically all the east and southeast of Ukraine, from Donbass to Crimea, basically. Zelensky said that Ukraine will not give up on any of its territories. In reality, the problem is that both Zelensky and Putin have been asking so much to their peoples. So many lives have been lost both in Ukraine and in Russia that it makes it almost impossible for both leaders to back down.
Right.
So that's an issue between Ukraine and Russia. While in the case of America, America has already, as I told you earlier, America has already been able to secure everything America needed to get from this war.
Well, Professor Gowden, before I let you go, the Pope is now being mentioned as a possible new negotiating bridge. The question is, will Pope be more helpful than Trump?
What I can tell you is that for now, there can be only one Pope in Russia, and this Pope is Putin. Putin is the only major leader with Xi Jinping who didn't attend the funerals of Pope Francis, and he wouldn't even send an ambassador or a representative to these funerals. So I think it is relatively unlikely, because from the Russian perspective, the Pope, in particular, this new Pope who's American, is actually conceived to be some part of the West as a whole. Putin's Russia is becoming more and more Russia-centric. Therefore, I'm afraid that all non-Russian influences can be expected to be discarded. I'm afraid this is unlikely.
So it won't be easy to see Putin or Zelensky or Trump at the Vatican anytime soon. Professor Gowden, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you a lot. Bye-bye.
At LIMA 2025 in Malaysia, not just the major defense firms, but also SMEs are presenting their innovative solutions, from digital aircraft twins to anti-drone systems, aiming to expand their footprint in the global defense market. Our Kim Bo-kyung tells us more.
A Boeing 737's three-dimensional landing gear appears just by wearing a mixed reality headset. This is one of many innovative products Korea's small and medium-sized companies have brought to the Langkawi International Maritime and Aerospace Exhibition, Southeast Asia's largest exhibition of this type. Situated within the booth of the Integrated Korean Pavilion, Augmented Knowledge offers a digital twin of aircraft by integrating AI-based paper manuals with 3D models. Currently being used by several institutions, the cloud service is already helping students learn aircraft maintenance more efficiently. With the innovation that makes paper manuals a legacy of the past, the company aims to open up new opportunities at LIMA 2025.
Malaysia offers relatively low labour costs and has a well-developed MRO industry. We're in contact with both companies like GE Aerospace and local schools, aiming to establish a foothold in Southeast Asia.
Optical communications company Fostec, which is showcasing expanded beam connectors that are reliable for field use, is already producing cables used for Korean missile defense systems like Cheonggung. It now aims to explore more chances in the global market.
Our products are about 1/5 the cost compared to Amphenol and Glenair, with delivery times reduced by about half, while maintaining equal or superior quality standards.
Also eyeing the Southeast Asian market is an anti-drone manufacturer, producing a system that integrates multiple functions into one. It can detect, operate jamming methods, disrupt the signals and spoofing, and send false GPS signals to mislead the drone to move to a different direction.
I've heard that many key officials from important agencies such as the Malaysian Air Force and police will be attending, so we hope there will be an opportunity to participate in bids with the Malaysian government.
With strong government support behind them, Korean defense SMEs are taking a big leap into the global market. 김보경, Arirang News, Langkawi.
Tottenham Hotspur's captain Heung-min has finally won a trophy in Europe after spending 15 years on the continent. The Spurs defeated Premier League rivals Manchester United 1-0 on Wednesday in the Europa League final at the San Mamés Stadium in Bilbao, Spain. Tottenham's Brennan Johnson scored the long goal in the 42nd minute to give Spurs their first trophy in 17 years. Now, Son started on the bench but came on in the 67th minute. The South Korean international lifted the first trophy of his professional club career, which began at Hamburg SV in Germany 2010.
Good morning, I'm Choi Ji-hee, and this is The World Now. In an Oval Office meeting on Wednesday, U.S. President Donald Trump confronted South African President Cyril Ramaphosa with allegations of a white genocide targeting white South African farmers. The encounter was initially intended to discuss trade and diplomatic relations, but escalated into heated exchanges as President Trump presented a video featuring clips of South African politicians inciting violence against white farmers. Trump argued that these clips were evidence that there was a systematic campaign against the white minority in South Africa. Ramaphosa stayed calm but disputed Trump's allegations, saying that black people were more likely to be victims of violence in the country than white people. He also said that his government does not endorse any form of racial violence or related policies. A former Ukrainian politician who had been a senior aide to a pro-Russian president was shot dead outside a school in Madrid, Spain. Andrei Portnov had been deputy head of the presidential administration under former President Viktor Yanukovych. On Wednesday at approximately 9:15 a.m. local time, Portnov was ambushed by several attackers as he returned to his car after leaving his children at the American School of Madrid. Witnesses report he was shot multiple times, including at least once in the head. The attackers fled the scene, heading toward a nearby wooded area. Portnov had been sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury in 2021 for undermining judicial reforms. After fleeing Ukraine in 2014, he lived in Russia and Austria before settling in Spain. Investigations into his killing are ongoing, but no arrests have been reported yet.
Yesterday marked Seoul, the start of summer, and it certainly lived up to its name with sweltering heat all day. Seoul had the hottest May morning over a decade, and of course, daytime temperatures soared past 30 degrees, making it the hottest day of the year so far. Today will be a bit cooler than yesterday, and it should be more comfortable tomorrow. But we also have some rain in the forecast. The amounts will not be that significant, just 5 to 10 millimeters, and most of the rainfall should clear out by tonight. Eastern areas will be a lot more comfortable today, with Daegu, Gyeongju both topping out at 22 and 21 degrees Celsius, but Gwangju, Daejeon still warm at 25 degrees. Looking ahead, tomorrow will be a lot more bearable, but there still will be a lot temperature differences between lows and highs.
That is all we have for this morning. Thank you so much for watching.
천안에 가면 재밌다 이거. 글로벌 K컬처 세계 속에 꽃 피우다. 2025 천안 K컬처 박람회. 제21대 대통령 재외선거.
세계 어느 곳에 있어도
내가 국가대표라는 마음으로
누구보다 땀 흘리죠. 지금이 국가대표임을
보여줄 기회. 대한민국 국민의 권리.
대한민국 국민의 의무.
반드시 투표합니다. 국가를 위한 대통령 투표. 제21대 대통령 재외선거. 중앙선거관리위원회.
그대가 향한 시선이 나에게 향해졌으면 그대의 예쁜 미소가 나에게만 보였으면 좋겠어. 맘 돌다가 다른 곳에는 덮어두고 못 본 채 했던 지난 날의 눈물들을 말 없이 울었던 저녁을 사랑하겠어. 눈물에 짓눌려 부서지지 않기 위해서 날 부르는 희미한 빛을 따라 어둠을 품에 안고서 나의 저녁을 사랑하겠어.
제주 영어 교육 도시의 중심 NLCS 제주에서 세계 명문대 출신 엘리트 교사진과 해외 커리큘럼으로 전 세계 상위 1%의 학사 성과를 달성하고 있으며 졸업생들은 세계 최정상급 대학으로 진학하고 있습니다. 전인적인 성장과 함께 꿈을 찾아가는 특별한 교육의 가치. 글로벌 동문 네트워크로 계속됩니다. NLCS 제주가 명문대 진학의 길을 열어갑니다.
We're here to bring a new type of news show. New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Thursday, May 22nd here in Seoul. I'm Song Yoo-jin, and you're tuning into News Generation. Joining us today is Jessica Dainha.
Happy Thursday, everyone!
Happy Thursday! And Kang Mun-ju.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. We're going to begin our show with our keyword news. Our keyword for this Thursday is weather. Now, Wednesday marked Soman, the traditional seasonal marker, signaling the start of early summer in Korea, and the weather is living up to that name. Much of the country is under an unusually hot and humid spell with warm southern winds pushing in tropical air. And on Tuesday, Seoul recorded a daily minimum temperature of 23 degrees Celsius, setting a new May record for the warmest low since modern records began in 1907. Now, Incheon also hit a record, logging 20.7 degrees Celsius, the highest May daily minimum since weather data collection began there in 1904. And other areas like Ulsan, Gangneung, Wonju, Gyeongju, and Taebaek saw lows up to 7 degrees higher than the seasonal average. So I want to ask our panelists, how are you dealing with this hot and humid weather, and do you think this could be a preview of what's to come later this summer?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So you're telling me that we are in the early summer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I thought it was the peak of the summer, you say, but...
Because it's so hot already,
yeah,
right?
It's so hot. So the weather lately has been quite extreme. Like, it feels like spring, which is one of my favorite seasons, has been taken away this year.
Yeah, it's getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, right? So I don't tend to be overly sensitive to like hot weather, but like today, today and like for the past week, I kind of questioned this fact for a moment, and like this approaching summer is starting to feel very, very daunting. And also I'm kind of worrying that just like spring, my another favorite season is fall. It's gonna be taken away as well as summer. Like, you know, last year it was suddenly like we didn't expect the cold, but so this year I think it might happen. So their unexpected cold fall might also be taken away. But let's see how it goes.
Right. I mean, a lot of people are already worried, Jessica, because many say that this year, this summer, will be another hottest summer on record, which I think it feels like every year the record is being shattered. Right?
I know, and I don't blame the forecasters for saying that, because we are setting new records every year, which is so unfortunate. I look forward to the day when the forecaster comes out and say, oh, we actually
have a cooler summer this
year. Summer. But even today we're supposed to go up to like 28 degrees Celsius, I think. So, and we've talked about this a lot, Yoo-jin, since the beginning of the year. We've had a very
unexpected weather condition, should I say? Hard to expect.
Exactly. Completely unpredictable, kind of rash. We had snow, we had, you know, rainy days.
And the rain.
So I am not looking forward to this year's summer, but I must say we're all in the same boat, and I guess this is what we created. So
we should brace for a really hot summer.
Yes.
Hope everyone stays safe and healthy.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right, but some good news is that the Korea Meteorological Administration says a slight cool down is expected starting tonight as cooler air moves in from the northwest and brings temperatures closer to seasonal norms. And that was our keyword news for this Thursday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Thursday is when we explore the Korean wave and the global appeal of Korean culture. Take a look at the screen to find out what we're going to talk about today. When you think of Korean food, what's the first dish that pops into your mind? Chances are it's one of the classics like kimchi, bibimbap, tteokbokki, or bulgogi. But Korea is also making a big splash in another part of the food world these days, seafood. Have you tried any Korean seafood yourself? Well, just looking at the intro VCR has already made our mouth water. As you can see on the VCR today, we are going to talk about the rising popularity of Korean seafood overseas. So starting off, Jessica, how popular would you say K-seafood has become?
So we've talked about K-wave immensely on the show.
And especially every Thursday, right?
Right, every Thursday. And you started with the intro too. But another category of, I think, K-wave is coming, and that is seafood, literally. And not just in volume, but in value and recognition. And I think we can first take a look at the actual figures to see how they're growing. So let's take a look at the screen. Now, last year, South Korea's seafood exports reached a total of over $3 billion, and it has only continued to grow every year. Now, Japan ranked as the top export export destination with a little under about $660 million, followed by China at 530 and the United States at 479. And notably, I think one thing to keep in mind is that exports to Europe surged by 16%, rising from about 195 in 2023 to 227 million just last year. So this already shows the seafood market growing. But I think one of the key reasons that the seafood market in the US and Europe is because they're more focused on the frozen products. But as you know, Korea has a well-developed live seafood industry.
Right.
And of course, freshness is so important when it comes to seafood, right? So I think it could be one of the key reasons that Korean seafood is continuing to grow and gain popularity in global markets. And I am definitely one of the biggest consumers when it comes to seafood. So I can definitely vouch for the live seafood and the quality that we have here in South Korea. Yeah.
And I think that what makes seafood really attractive is that there are so many varieties, right? We are going to walk you through the immense varieties of Korean seafood today. But among those varieties, Moon-ju, which products would you say are facing the most demand overseas?
Yeah, among South Korea's various seafood exports, the most popular one, I guess, is the liver or kim, which holds the largest share, making it a must-buy souvenir for visitors visiting the country. Global demand for this kim continues to rise, establishing itself as like the key product or export product in South Korea. Due to its growing economic significance, it has even been nicknamed the semiconductor of the sea, you know, because semiconductor has always been traditionally the leading export product here in South Korea.
Right.
So if you take a look at the screen right now, in 2023, South Korea's kim exports reached $791 million. And last year, they set a new record at $997 million, which is a remarkable increase of 26%. And notably, Korean-produced liver accounts for 70% of the total global market of the same product. So it kind of strengthens its dominant position in this international trade of kim.
So kim is, as Moon-ju mentioned, becoming kind of like the backbone of Korean seafood exports, just like semiconductors. So it's really leading the charge in case seafood exports. But Cheska, for those unfamiliar with kim I mean, here in Korea, kim is something that we almost always see on the traditional Korean table, should I say? So could you please tell our viewers some of the most common or the best ways to enjoy kim?
Yeah, first of all, I didn't know that the liver or kim market is growing that big.
But it is actually expanding quite remarkably.
It's almost 1 billion. We're reaching almost 1 billion very, very soon. So in Korea, as you mentioned, it is very common to have kim as like a side dish.
Right.
And we have the food called kimbap, which a lot of our viewers must know. It's like rolled rice.
Right.
And we actually wrap it with the seaweed. And we put a lot of ingredients in it. It is one of my ultimate favorite food. I think it's the best food in the world. And many Koreans would also enjoy it very simply with plain rice, like a side dish. We also have the unseasoned one, and we dip it in like a soy sauce or sesame oil. But we also have the seasoned one that comes in packaging. We also use it as a garnish, so it can be sprinkled in any type of soup, or even kimchi fried rice, or even like stir-fried chicken with cheese. You put a little bit of kim on the top, right? But there's something very interesting that is coming to grab the attention of a lot of international consumers, and it is kim being used as a snack.
Right.
So traditionally, Koreans have something called kimbugak, which is a fried seaweed, and then you kind of season it with sugar, so it becomes sweet and savory. But now it's taking a new twist, and they're adding flavors like cheese, wasabi, even like spicy flavors. And this is actually becoming a modern twist and becoming really, really popular among international consumers.
Right.
And I actually know this because a lot of my foreign friends would come and buy these like wasabi flavored kim or like cheese-flavored kim, and they would just pack it in their suitcases and go back home. And to me, as a traditional Korean, it's sometimes a bit interesting because we're more used to eating it as like a food or a side dish, but now it's becoming like a snack option too.
And I think that especially as kim bugak or the kim snacks have gained more popularity and we're seeing a wider variety of that, I think young people are drawn into these kim snacks or kim in general because it was kind of distant from like a very trendy snack. But now you can see it like at popular drugstores or snack stores.
And to add on to that, I think I remember now also a lot of international consumers love this because it's low calorie.
Oh, right.
So they eat it like a diet snack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because Kim only has about 30, even if you eat the whole package. So I think they want to try the diet snack plus the taste. Yeah, go together.
So it's good. It tastes good. It's healthy, and it's very low calorie. But besides Kim, there are also so many other seafood items from Korea. Wouldn't you? What are some other seafood products that have really hooked the hearts of international consumers?
Yeah, there are a lot, but one of them might be miyeok, which is also gaining its popularity. In Korea, miyeok holds very special cultural significance, particularly as traditional birthday dish. So on birthdays, South Koreans tend to eat miyeokguk or miyeok soup, often cooking it with beef, shrimp, or like dried pollock strips. And additionally, miyeokguk plays a vital role in postpartum care. So thus, new mothers are encouraged to consume this soup as it is believed to aid recovery and promote healthy lactation. But however, there is a very interesting superstition regarding this miyeok, which is that students tend to avoid eating it the day before the exams, right? You all know why. The reasoning isn't nutritional, but it's just symbolic that because seaweed has a slippery texture, it's very slippery, and there's a belief that it could metaphorically cause a student to like slip from their exams, which means they might not do well in their exams. So that's why like students tend not to eat miyeokguk the day before the exam. Personally, I mean, it didn't really have a big effect on my test because I wasn't that kind of student. You all know what I mean, right? But there is some superstition regarding this miyeok.
Well, when I was a student back in the days, I did not have seaweed soup or any seaweed related food before when I was preparing for a big test. So I'm one of those superstitious people. Well, so far we focused and introduced you to seaweed-like K-seafood items, but Jessica, there are so much more, right?
Oh my God, yes. And just to preface, I am a seafood connoisseur. So everything that we're talking about is my favorite, but on the top of the list are oysters and abalone.
Which we saw in the VCR earlier.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, they are not only delicacies, but they have been very involved in Korean cuisines. So Munju talked about the miyeok soup, but we use oysters in miyeok soup as well, and we even fry them like pancakes. We call them jeon. So we have oyster jeon as well, and we even put them in kimchi, which makes it a fresh flavor as well, because they're incredibly high in nutritional value. So they are in various cuisines for a long time, and now they're actually growing in export as well. So if you look at the screen, you can see that both items jumped almost 3 times in the last decade. And that is almost, that puts Korea on number 3 on the map for the largest oyster export country after France and China. And I've got to say, Eugene, I've tried oyster in Europe and the States, and I say this with complete bias, but I really think Korean oysters are
the best?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say the best, but they have a very special sweetness that I didn't quite get from other places. Maybe it's because we're really good at like fresh produce, but I just love tasting Korean seafood, whether it be oysters or abalone or sashimi. Yeah, it's just Koreans just have this, I don't know, fresh caught feel when it comes to seafood. Yeah.
Oh, Korean oysters. All right, so to hear what seafood our viewers are craving, we ran a poll on our Arirang News YouTube channel asking which Korean seafood would you most like to try. If we look at the results, 39% answered oysters and abalones, 28% seaweed laver and sea mustard, sliced raw fish 22%, and others 11%. And here are a few comments from our viewers. Benny97 says, I've tried sea mustard soup and seaweed laver, and I absolutely love them now. Brown Giraffe 33, live octopus or sannakji. It wasn't as scary as I expected and actually tasted quite good, especially when paired with beef tartare. 8917336, oysters are so abundant in Korea that people eat them with spoons. I'd love to try that one day. You should definitely try oysters out here in Korea. So for more on the K-seafood craze, after the break, we'll be joined by a millennial in Australia. We'll be right back.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today for our live interview segment is Australian millennial Alexandra Fayem. Welcome back to the show, Alexandra.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be back.
It's a pleasure to have you back as well. So, Alexandra, we would really like to know whether Korean seafood products are also popular in Australia. What would you say?
We love seafood in Australia. We really do. There's a famous saying that you throw another shrimp on the barbie. And even though in Australia we don't say shrimp, we say prawns, we really, really do love seafood. We love Asian seafood particularly. It's so close to us, so we get some, it's not as fresh, obviously, but it is very fresh for us. And yeah, we absolutely love it. So particularly Korean seafood is quite popular in Australia. It's definitely growing in popularity too.
You know, we're talking about K-Wave and talking about the K-Wave of seafood. So if you had to pick one, what would be your top Korean seafood recommendation?
Ooh, it's very hard to pick one. I really love fish cakes. I love spicy fish cakes. I think they're wonderful. I also love octopus balls and the salmon bulgogi as well. Like for Korean barbecue, it is just delicious. We love Korean barbecue in Australia. But I think my favorite would probably have to just be a seafood dumpling. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, seafood dumplings are great, and I'll just give you here opportunity to express your other favorite seafoods. Is there any other Korean seafood dish that you'd like to try that you haven't tried it yet?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, I would like to just go to Korea and try a lot of the food in person because I know that it would just be heads and tails above what we have here. But I would love to try the seafood, the scallion pancakes. They look so tasty. And yeah, that's the top of my list personally. But I would want to try everything.
Well, we hope you have a chance to visit Korea real soon and get to try those seafood in person.
Oh, I'd love to. I really would. It's the top of my list.
All right, Alexandra, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Right, so as Alexandra just mentioned, if you really want to taste Korean seafood at its finest, nothing is better than trying it right here in Korea, visiting the country. So ending off, I think this is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
If our viewers actually come to Korea, which are the best spots to enjoy the freshest and finest seafood?
And Alexandra led us perfectly to this question, right? So definitely recommend all the ocean port cities like Busan, which is already famous for seafood and markets, Gangneung, Yeosu. I mean, pick your side, east and west coast.
There's also Incheon, which is really close to Seoul.
You're absolutely right. We're only about an hour if you take the public transport, and Korea has such a great way to travel.
Right.
And if you have time, definitely travel all the way down to Jeju. It's a great vacation spot with amazing seafood. I've been to most of the cities since I'm crazy about seafood, and you get the freshest quality, and also the seafood is to die for. I recommend all the way.
A lot to visit.
Oh, so many places.
A lot of places to visit.
To eat also.
Right, to eat seafood and enjoy all the beautiful scenery.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you suggest, Munju?
Yeah, locals are always the best, and like, you know, Jessica just mentioned Busan Gangneung, and Eugene just mentioned Incheon. And I actually been to Incheon like last week, and I had some like seafood there. It was very good. So just try visit Incheon, Gangneung, Busan, whichever is close to you. But if you are having a hard time traveling outside Seoul, it's okay. The city still offers an excellent seafood markets here in Seoul. Among them, Noryangjin Fish Market and Garak Market are particularly well known for seafoods.
Right.
And both are easily accessible by public transportation, making them very, very convenient destinations for those looking to experience Korea's vibrant seafood scene firsthand. So you could always stay in Seoul and experience seafoods of South Korea.
And I would like to especially emphasize or introduce the Noryangjin Seafood Market because a few days ago, CNN actually introduced the Noryangjin Seafood Market and introduced all the fresh varieties of seafood, Korean seafood that it has to offer to its visitors. visitors. And its Noryangjin Seafood Market is actually the largest indoor seafood market here in Seoul. So if you have a chance to visit Seoul, visit Noryangjin Seafood Market. And also, if you have more time, you have to visit all the port cities and the regions that our panelists mentioned so that you could enjoy and compare all the different seafood items that each region has to offer.
And it's a great vacation spot, as you mentioned.
It is.
So why not travel and enjoy the delicacies, right?
And especially when the weather gets hotter, the best vacation spot is near the ocean.
Yes. Which it will.
Yeah, survival tip.
Right. And that's all we have for today, but Newsden will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Special thanks to Cheska.
Pleasure's always mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Heung-min.
Thanks for having me today.
Thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow on Friday. We are News Generation.
제주 영어 교육 도시의 중심 NLCS 제주에서 세계 명문대 출신 엘리트 교사진과 해외 커리큘럼으로 전 세계 상위 1%의 학사 성과를 달성하고 있으며 졸업생들은 세계 최정상급 대학으로 진학하고 있습니다. 전인적인 성장과 함께 꿈을 찾아가는 특별한 교육의 가치. 글로벌 동문 네트워크로 계속됩니다. NLCS 제주가 명문대 진학의 길을 열어갑니다.